Greetings and welcome to the channel. So in this video, I want to do a couple of things, or should I say I want to speak about a few different topics. I do want to talk about a few things I actually do like about Tekken 8, albeit it probably will be a very tiny segment. I also want to give my shout outs and appreciation to everybody that decided to check out the last two videos that were basically Tekken 8 rants. So I want to give props to you guys that tuned in and left your comments. And, and I also want to just give more thoughts on where I feel this game is going, Tekken 8 specifically. So I don't know how this video is going to go. The last two videos did exceptionally well. In fact, let me just show you what I mean, just to kind of give a bit of a disclosure here. So the follow-up video, which is the most current one, this one has about 2,800 views and 311 comments. And the first one has 5,060 views with 440 comments. So I want this to be understood by everybody that in the unlikely event this video actually happens to take off and it gets a lot of views, should I say a lot of comments, just know that I do my best to get to the comments. In fact, I'm still trying to get to comments from the last two videos. So if you left a comment on either of those videos, just know chances are I've seen it and I am aiming to get back to you. And the same will apply to this video if by some off chance miracle more than 50 people actually watches this video. And I also want to address a few of the trolls that left comments on both of those videos as well. Where should I start? So I think I think it's best to just start off with Micheal Murry first. So I've never met the man, and honestly, over the years of me competing in the franchise, I don't know if I knew he was a community manager. I always looked at him as sort of like Harada's handler. Like he was the guy that, he translated for Harada, so that's really how I knew him. Back then, I've always looked at Markman as kind of like the main person that I would usually talk to and engage with, but as of late, based on a couple of other YouTubers that posted videos that talk about Micheal Murry's ban list, apparently the man has a legendary affinity with banning people on X or Twitter. And I find that very interesting because if you are a community manager and you have thin skin, then perhaps being a community manager is not the role for you. Perhaps simply just being Harada's translator, might be more, it might be more in line with what Murray should be doing, because when you're a community manager, you have to be ready, willing, and able to address just about all of the community's concerns and be on top of it. And you have to be active. Now, I don't know the full extent of maybe like why he's banning these people. Maybe they're trolling him. But even then, when you're in that particular role, you should be kind of aware that the potential to be trolled is going to probably happen, and it's probably going to be a lot. It's like me, I know that if I gain a lot of views on a particular video, like I did the last two videos, and a lot of comments, it shouldn't be a surprise to me that if I get 300 comments, there's probably going to be one or a few people that's going to say some bullshit, that's going to troll, that's going to try to stir the pot, so to speak. So that I expect that. And sometimes for the sake of the algorithm, I'll even feed the trolls. And that's something I will suggest my fellow content creators. If you have some idiot in your comment section, don't outright ban them just yet. Just let them lie, unless they're really being disruptive and being overtly disrespectful. But if they're just, acting like a class clown, so to speak, let them rock, because it's going to help your algorithm. And that's what I do. And eventually I just disengage with them, and they'll just end up talking to themselves. Or maybe, they'll find another troll, and then they'll band together like Voltron or something, and they'll just troll amongst each other. But yeah, I just feel like when it comes to Micheal Murry, perhaps being, if that's what his role is, perhaps being a community manager is not really something that he's cut out for. If, he's just outright banning hundreds and maybe thousands of people. That's just my 2 cents on that. I wouldn't mind hearing some of you guys' thoughts on that, because there might be some of you that might respond that know more about that whole situation more than I do. I just know surface level info that I remember maybe going back a few months ago, that I would hear that he was very notorious on blocking people that was even the slightest that offered the slightest criticism to Tekken 8. So I know if I came at him with some of these videos I've been posting, he probably would have banned me. I think my only real interaction with him online is anything pertaining to bringing Lei Wulong back. And very early on, when that movie, the next Karate Kid, or whatever they call it, Karate Kid Legends, when that movie was set to drop, or like they were doing like, their press tour for it, I would message Murray and say, look, Jackie Chan is still with us, right? He's still alive, thank God. And I think it would be absolutely wonderful that you and Harada will go to a major Tekken event, and when it comes time to showcase a brand new character, you hear that Lei Wulong music, that old theme music play in the background, and then you'll see the character on screen, but his back is turned like Akuma. And then you see Jackie Chan walk on stage. I think the whole crowd would lose their shit, as far as I'm concerned. And then when the character turns around, you see it has Lei has Jackie Chan's likeness and his voice, and even some maybe a video behind the scenes showing Jackie Chan doing some of the choreography, and it'll be like as a teaser. That, I feel, would be absolutely amazing, in my opinion. So that really has been my extent of interaction with Micheal Murry. So it wasn't really anything critical. It wasn't anything. It was just me, just my love for the character, and giving a suggestion that would make Namco a boatload of money and give them a worldwide attention by finally bringing Jackie Chan to play the role of Lei, which we all know that is who Lei is based off of. Just like we know Law is based off Bruce Lee. But again, unfortunately, we no longer have Bruce with us, but we still have Jackie Chan. And so I left a series of tweets to Micheal Murry, and I think maybe even Nakatsu. But of course, because I'm not Nee and I'm not Arslan Ash or somebody high up on the Tekken food chain, my messages got ignored, basically. So it is what it is. But I still at least put it out. I at least put it out there, and I tried. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe if Murray is, has that level of thin skin, perhaps a community manager role is just not for him. Maybe just simply being Harada's translator, or just doing something else for the Tekken project. So let me move on to I guess the 2 last videos I did, the 2 rants. I gotta admit, like I said, I don't expect this video, because if this video blows up, I'll be mind fucked. But I want to address those 2 videos because originally the first rant, I was a little bit annoyed, and I had no intention on talking about Tekken 8 that day, but I decided to do so, and so to my surprise, it ended up getting 5,000 views, and then the follow up ends up now it's close to 3,000. And for me as a content creator, trying to grow on the platform, I will be remiss in saying that I don't want my channel, or I want my channel to grow and flourish, and I want to have a great community. But I don't want it to only just be about Tekken. You know what I'm saying? Because, I never wanted to be the American main man, right? Main man Sui, for instance, which he is a phenomenal content creator. But, I have such a passion for gaming in general that I love gaming news. I love talking about the consoles, upcoming game releases, things of that nature. Of course, Tekken will always be a part of the rotation. But to be perfectly honest, this particular Tekken it's fucking scrub friendly. And I've said this, and I don't bite my tongue on it. It is made to be accessible. That's just a nice way of saying scrub friendly. Let's just call it what it is. And and I've said to several people that commented, this is a game that was designed by the developers with a very clear mandate to be as accessible, scrub friendly, noob friendly, low level casual, however way you want to slice it or break it down. It is meant to be the easiest Tekken to get into, because they want that broader appeal, because it will bring in more people. It's potentially more money, especially reselling basically the same DLC. And the thing is, it's funny. I remember when content creators were really ranting, and maybe some of you might remember this. They were ranting about the Tekken shop. I remember when they were introducing the Tekken shop for the first time for Tekken 8, and there was a lot of content creators that were bitching and complaining about it. And it's funny because I always knew what the intent was, especially when a lot of those items were things that I remember purchasing back in Tekken 6. For some of my fellow OGs out there, that played the older Tekkens, a lot of those items in the Tekken shop we had for free, So that's when I realized that the Tekken shop was not meant for us. It was meant for the brand new people that never played the older Tekkens. So they would never know. They would never know that you're basically buying the same shit that we had basically for free back in Tekken 6 and maybe even Tekken 5, in terms of customized options. And it's the same thing with some of the characters, like we're getting Fakamram again. We're getting Armor King again. A lot of these characters that are DLC that's being resold and repackaged to us. It's ideally it's meant for the new people. It reminds me of, if you see, obviously I'm pretty sure some of you seen the movie Avengers. I think it was Endgame, and I think Captain America was talking to Thanos, and he said something about, I know what I must do. I will shred this universe to its atoms, and I will rebuild it in my own image. And then I think Captain America said something about born out of blood. And then Thanos says, but they'll never know it. I think about that scene. I know I butchered the scene, but I think about that scene when it comes to Namco and the developers, I should say, reselling the same DLC characters and offering very similar items that we have had prior in older Tekkens in the Tekken shop, because the newer players will not know that this was already sold already. So while and again, this goes back to the point that I said, that the hardcore audience, which is I'm a part of, and probably many of you, we represent a very small portion of the overall market of Tekken, or just Tekken 8. But we are the most vocal. This is precisely, as an example, this is precisely why the change to have grabs do chip damage on break, which was absolutely absurd, was reverted. Do you think those changes, do you think that decision would have been reverted were it not for the hardcore audience of Tekken bitching and complaining? I don't think so. I think that it would still be active today. A Brainrot character like King would just giant swing you to death, and you'd break it and still lose chip damage. That would be in the game right now. So I was glad when the hardcore OGs and the core audience of the game of Tekken 8 made our collective voices heard. But again, like I say, if that did not happen, that would be our current reality, is you break a grab and that grab would do chip damage on break. In addition, armor attacks would still have the heat engage property. Heat engagers on hit would still be plus 1,000,000. I think it was plus 17 or some outrageous number. So now it's plus 9, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of these changes would not have happened were it not for the very small yet vocal hardcore crowd. This is the reason why I try to tell you guys that although the casual market is very large, but they don't command the same amount of loyalty or speak up the way the smaller hardcore crowd, but at the end of the day, it does come down to money. Make no mistake about it. You can mash your buttons with your Brainrot characters, with your top tier characters. You can Yoshi flash people into oblivion. But at the end of the day, from Namco's standpoint, it's all about money. It's all about how many people are actually playing the game. That's also a metric. But how many people are buying the game? How many people are buying the DLC? That is what they're looking for. That's why when if you're the type to stay up all night, if you're in America like I am, and you watch those little Tekken presentations where they're basically going over everything that's going to be in the Tekken shop, the customization and all this other bullshit. That's why they're pushing all of that, because they're trying to make money. And I don't fault them for that. It is what it is, because I know the costs that Tekken 9 is probably going to require is going to supersede Tekken 8. And I remember an article, I think I shared it in like a very old video on my channel when the channel was very, very new, where Harada was talking about that they had to do all new assets for the characters. Nothing was according to him, nothing was reused. Everything was brand new, so it cost a lot of money. And they got that money due to the DLC sales of Tekken 7. The DLC was very successful for Tekken 7. Why? Because of the type of characters they brought in. They brought in Geese. They brought in Negan, which at the time, Negan was very popular back at that time. They brought in Noctis. Noctis was a very strong and popular character for Final Fantasy. Because, not every protagonist in Final Fantasy, hits a home run. Some people have their favorite Final Fantasies. Mine, for instance, is Part 8 and Part 4, Cecil and the Red Wings. Those are my two favorite. And I like X as well. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, let me know what your favorite Final Fantasy game is. But yeah, so when you have a Final Fantasy game whose protagonist is pretty much celebrated and you're bringing them into Tekken, yeah, you're going to bring a portion of that audience into Tekken that's going to buy the game and buy the DLC. So that's how this game of business works. And this is why when they decided to bring in Clive, it's the same thing. Now, Clive has fuck all to do with Tekken. That is a Soul Calibur character if I've ever seen one. But due to the developers essentially basically ending Soul Calibur themselves with all the nonsense that they were adding into that franchise, that's why Soul Calibur died. You know, we can talk about that in the comments section if you want as well, because I actually love Soul Calibur. You know, my main characters were Maxi and Taki. And it's a shame what happened to that franchise. And Clive would have been amazing for Soul Calibur. But because Soul Calibur is no longer a thing, and the same goes for Noctis. Noctis should have been in Soul Calibur, you know? So because it's no longer, you know, available, you know, they have to bring them into Tekken. So you know, this is just unfortunately this is the current state. And I can guarantee you that the future guest characters that's going to be brought into this game, Tekken 8, over the course of its lifespan are going to be very crazy, very busted and broken. I can guarantee you that. And largely those characters are going to be left largely like that because they want people to buy these characters. Let me explain it like this. In order for, and some of you might actually know this, but this is to some of the new people that may just have no idea what I'm talking about. When there is a guest character brought in, whether it's Tekken, Street Fighter, it doesn't matter what game, the developer / publisher has to pay for the license to use that particular character. And then there is within that contract, there are things that the licensee, which is in this case, the licensor is Square Enix. The licensee is Namco. So there are things in the contract that detail what Namco can and cannot do with that particular character. Now, sometimes those contracts can get very, very advanced. You know, and this is partly the reason why for a long time it was hard to get celebrities in Mortal Kombat, because they did not want those characters to be fatality'd, you know. So this is why I believe that when it comes to Clive being nerfed, as he should be, I don't believe he will have anything significant outside of a few slaps on the wrist. Now, I could be wrong. And it also depends on the type of deal that Namco has with Square Enix regarding Clive, because best believe there is a deal in place. There is a deal in place. And the same thing applied to Capcom when they brought in Akuma into Tekken 7, which I can almost guarantee you Akuma will more than likely come back. In fact, I would actually like him to come back for the sole purpose of just the storyline. I feel Akuma really exemplified, being a part of the Tekken story. And plus, we don't know what went on with Akuma and versus Kazuya toward the end of Tekken 7. I envision a scenario where this will tie in with the survival of Heihachi, where you would see that Kazuya and Akuma fought to a standstill. Something probably happened. Maybe Kazuya did something to get away, maybe blew up a rock and there was a lot of dust, a dust cloud, and Kazuya took off. or something of that nature. But what I'm trying to get to is this: Kazuya is gone. Akuma is still by the volcano, but he still senses that Heihachi is still alive. And it just leaves off there. So I feel like, in my opinion, if I was the Namco person that was in charge of the story, I would bring Akuma back in, probably maybe season 5, season 6, when it's later on and Tekken 8 may need a boost, I think that would be a good time to bring Akuma in and expand the actual campaign of the story. And I think that would revitalize the game from a narrative standpoint. I do believe Akuma will be broken as fuck like he was in Tekken 7. And who knows, maybe that was a part of the contract. Maybe it just stated that, look, if we're going to loan you or license you to use Akuma in your fighting game, we Capcom, the licensor, we want I hope I have it right. Licensor. Anyway, you can just Google it. But those are the terms I might be I might have them crisscrossed. But it could be, to get back to the original point, that Capcom probably has it in the contract that we want Akuma to be strong in Tekken 8. And in order for you to use Akuma, you have to abide by this. So that could be the reason why, or another reason why Akuma was made so strong. And so that's now, when it comes to like the regular characters, the in-house developed characters by Namco themselves, I believe that a lot of times characters that are meant to be or designed to be broken and bullshit, like Jin in season 1, Dragunov, even right now currently, which is Yoshimitsu, the Anna and Nina, King, these are all very popular characters, by the way. So it could be that Namco wants these characters to be strong because they help sell the game. They're popular characters, I would argue and say, and I think it's kind of obvious that Jin Kazama is more popular than Raven. Let's be honest. So, so I do feel that they look at it from that standpoint as well. But yeah, I think that moving forward, when it comes to Tekken 8, I would be very surprised if there are any significant changes that I would like to see. Changes that I've ranted about. I'm not going to hold my breath. I will keep my eyes open for season 3 and see what they do. But I'm 1,000,000,000% going to be all over Virtua Fighter 6 when that comes out. And I would venture to believe that there might be an exodus of players of Tekken 8 that may be disenfranchised by the current product and would just say, you know what, fuck it, we're going to try out Virtua Fighter 6. And I wouldn't be surprised if even Arslan Ash might try it, because I believe Arslan is pretty good at other games. I think he can play King of Fighters, if I'm not mistaken. So, and probably some of the other Pakistani players, and maybe even some of the Korean players, because I do, if Sega sticks the landing and they are not trying to chase after Tekken 8's comeback mechanic bullshit, if they stay true to their roots, have a solid netcode, crossplay, keep the fantastical elements to a minimum, I think Virtua Fighter 6 has a really good chance at I guess stealing a lot of players from Tekken 8, like myself, that look at Tekken 8 as a fucking disappointment. So I will say this, just to be fair, because I know I've had a couple of people in the comments section of the last 2 videos say that, all I do is bitch and complain about Tekken 8. So let me at least say a few good things about the game. Number 1, at launch, I will give Namco and the developers credit that at least we got a largely polished and finished game at launch. It's sad you have to say that, because I can remember back then when Street Fighter V came out, that shit was, it needed more time in the oven. Mortal Kombat 1 needed a lot more time in the oven when that came out. Even outside of fighting games, I remember playing Battlefield 5. That needed more time. Dragon Ball Fighters, that damn sure needed more. I don't even think. No, I remember I bought Dead or Alive 6. I actually owned the game, and I bought it. It didn't even have lobbies. I think you couldn't even. It was crazy. And I think the same thing with Dragon Ball Fighters. I think at launch there was no lobbies. So a lot of those decisions are done by the publisher. They just, they have a certain release date and a release window that they want to get the game out, probably to try to beat out another game, or maybe that's just what they want to do. Maybe they want the game to be out at a certain time within their fiscal quarter. It could be any business related reason, but a lot of times the people that's making the game, like the chefs in the kitchen, are telling you, like, look, boss, this steak needs to be on the grill a little bit longer. We don't want to serve it raw. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel like a lot of games have been served raw. And when Tekken 8, and I will also say, to be fair, Street Fighter 6, they were released in largely completed state. So I will give all of the credit in the world for the developers on that front. And I feel that's very important and understated. Another thing is, most of the character models, with them using brand new assets, which ballooned the development costs, I do give them credit for that, because the game does look amazing. And I think there are many people out there that may have forgotten what Tekken 7 looked like, because I play on a Xbox Series X. I have quick resume, so I have Tekken 7 as a, I can quick resume between both games pretty quickly. So when I go from Tekken 7 to Tekken 8 and Tekken 8 to Tekken 7, I immediately see the difference. It's like day and night. It's like a completely different universe of detail. So I give the devs that level of credit. Remember, I said in one of the prior rants, I said that once it gets to round one fight, that's when the game turns to shit. For the most part, I do stand by that, because there's so many character balancing issues with this game. And I feel like you have some characters in Tekken that are just absolutely fucking bullshit. You have some characters that may not be as bullshit, but they have certain properties that are just very annoying to deal with. Like a character like Jun. A character like Jun, very easy brain rot string. The bitch can string you off of anything. Basically, it's to the point where you do not want to even block a jab against Jun, or even characters that have those type of strings, because you will block that jab and it turns into like a coin flip situation. So you're better off just completely spacing out the character and only making physical contact on that character using your character's attack. You don't want to let those characters dictate the pace of the match, because you're not going to guess right all the time. So, and because those characters it's very easy flowchart. It's brain rot. It's brain rot. And I will throw in Jun, Lydia, Reina, Lars to a degree, because I remember, they did patch Lars because he had something in his string. I think it was the homing kick from I think Silent Entry, or I forget what, because I don't use the fucking character, but it was a kick that he did. It was a mid kick. It was homing and it was plus. And I think it was so plus that there was literally no counterplay for it. So, but I think they patched that to where Lars is a little bit more manageable. But just to kind of use those characters as examples, there are characters that just have very easy access 50-50 strings that they can just loop over and over and over again. And it's very annoying to deal with, especially online where the connection of the match may not be where it needs to be, because even if there's like a frame of delay, that one frame can basically tell that one frame will determine whether you block that move or you got hit. So those types of characters always do well online because they can just literally brain rot you and just string you to death, you know. And then the optimal way to beat those characters, or at least what I do, is I try to not even let those characters get close to me, and I either try to whiff punish them or I make sure that my moves land on them. I don't want those characters to dictate the pace on me, because you don't want that, because you're not going to guess right enough to win against those characters. You're just not, unless you're just amazing at rock paper scissors. Hey, go ahead, I salute to you. But then you have those other characters like Anna, King, Yoshi. That's just absolute bullshit that should have been drastically nerfed into oblivion. But again, I have a feeling that Namco and the developers are keeping those characters strong purposely, because they know a lot of those characters are very popular, especially Anna as she is now. I would venture to say that Anna is probably pretty popular. Like, she's appealing, you know. I don't know the numbers. I might be wrong, but I would be interested in seeing the DLC numbers. Like, how many people have bought Anna like by herself, right? Because I have not bought that stupid character. I bought Fakamram because I love Muay Thai, much like I'm going to eventually buy Sagat for Street Fighter 6. But Anna, I can give two shits, honestly. If I was still competing in tournament, I would buy her just so I can really master every single thing, because the last thing you need as a competitive player is to lose to an average player, but because you didn't understand the character. That is the worst way to lose. Oh my God, that's the worst way to lose. Well, that, or if somebody happens to unplug your controller and completely kills your momentum, that sucks too. But anyway, what else can I say here? Oh, I guess I can address some of the trolls. I'm not going to give them the honor of mentioning their names, but I will just say this. And you guys know who y'all are. You guys know who leave, you know, who, like, if you leave asshole comments on my videos, you already know who you are. And so this goes out to y'all. I do appreciate the engagement, because even if you're trolling, it's still sending a signal to YouTube that, okay, this video is good, people are watching. So I appreciate that. That's the reason why I still feed a few of you trolls. Especially when I'm bored and I have nothing else better to do, I'll engage a few of you. Like, there's one guy, I forget if he's probably on both the Rant videos. This guy actually had the nerve to say that he believes that Nina Williams is the hardest character to play in Tekken 8. And he keeps referencing Arslan Ash because Arslan is saying, oh, she's tough to win with. And I'm like, you know, it's funny because people that use broken characters will oftentimes downplay them enough, especially if that player has some kind of notoriety. And the devs do listen. They do take the opinions of very high level or larger YouTube channels and social media accounts, and especially widely recognized players. So if a player is using a broken, busted character, they're going to downplay that character so that the developer does not nerf the character. I have seen this in Street Fighter 6 when I was playing that game like hard body. And a lot of the Ken masters, a lot of the Ken masters mains would constantly downplay Ken. And I would see it working. That character had one of the most ridiculous throw loops I've ever seen. The character virtually, I think Ken had no real weaknesses. He was all upside. And many times when Capcom, it came time to patch Street Fighter 6, I'd look at the patch notes for Ken, and it's like a slap on the wrist. So, I mean, I don't know what the current state of it is now, because I think the last time I really followed it was when Bison was released. So it's been a little while for me with Street Fighter. But yeah, it worked. You know, the people that main Ken in Street Fighter 6, they kept downplaying the character, and the developers, when it came time to nerf certain characters, Ken was overlooked. So it does not surprise me that higher level players that are using pretty much widely known broken characters are downplaying said character to ensure that they can keep using that character in the way that the character currently is. If any of that doesn't make sense, let me rephrase that. They just want to make sure that the character stays godlike. That's it. That's all it comes down to. And they do a good job at it. So to that troll that kept invoking the name of Arslan Ash, and then I guess he was challenging me to use Anna to get the Tekken God. Look, kid, I will say this, and maybe I should put on a t-shirt. I have been playing this franchise longer than your ass has been alive. I've been playing this game, this franchise, longer than you have been trolling people online. Okay? There are times where and I've said this in another video, but I'm going to say it again. There are times when we know who the best characters are. You don't think I'm not aware that Anna, Nina, King, Yoshimitsu, these characters and others are vastly superior to Raven, a character that I use? You don't think I'm not aware of that? Sometimes, even though you know a character is top tier, sometimes a player just does not want to use them. Sometimes a player just likes using their preferred character. Whether they win or lose, it doesn't matter to them. They just enjoy playing their character. They have character loyalty. But make no mistake, speaking about me, if I really put forth the effort the same effort I invest into Raven, if I were to literally transfer that into Nina, yeah, I would do exceptionally well. But I'm not an active tournament player anymore right now. So what would me doing this online do for me? Get a higher rank? I can give two shits about an online rank for Tekken 8, especially knowing full well that the vast majority of the people that play online ranked that use these broken bullshit characters are clearly being carried by said characters. It is what it is. Like the level of effort needed to use many of these characters by the developer's design is, again, easy. It's easier. It's not my opinion. It is widely known that Tekken 8 is a very easy, dumbed down, watered down, easy to access, flowchart, comeback mechanic driven game. Does it look nice? Yes. Does it have a pretty good netcode? I would say it does, because I've played far worse netcodes. But at the end of the day, this was a game that was designed to bring in more people and to bring in more money. And the easiest way to do that is to make the game more accessible to everybody, dumbing it down. That's just the formula. That's it. So if there are any people that want to argue that point in my comment section, just know this. I'm going to not take you seriously because I'm just going to look at you and say, you clearly don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand the mandate and the design decisions that have gone into Tekken 8. So I will more than likely just ignore your comment. Unless I'm really bored, I might respond, but I'm not going to interact the way I would with my other subscribers that leave actual viable comments, thought-provoking comments, great vibes, video ideas, even when they disagree. This is another thing I like about a lot of my great subscribers, which are many of you. You guys, even when you disagree, many of you form a very good argument that if we were like on a podcast, it would be very watchable, and some I'm like, okay, I'm doing one of these numbers. I'm reading. I'm like, wow, this guy knows his shit. Okay. I literally respect it. And thankfully for me, I'm very happy that I have a very good amount of comments from people that are mature adults. But unfortunately, and it is expected, I do have a few man children that they offer nothing. They just want to either put me down, dismiss what I say, don't provide any real counter argument, just talk shit. It is what it is. I take it in stride. Is it annoying at times? Yeah. But again, they help feed the algorithm. So I keep telling myself that. And, it's sort of like, what's the old saying? If you don't have haters, you haven't made it, or something like that. Or when you've made it when you have haters. It's something along those lines. Anyway, this obviously wasn't the rant that the first two videos were. But you know what? I hope this was still a little bit entertaining. I really don't expect much out of this particular video, but I do hope that the people that do happen to watch this video, hopefully you guys found something entertaining, some bit of insight. In fact, I wouldn't mind hearing some other suggestions. I have heard a few suggestions. I want to cover a few of those now. One particular subscriber mentioned to me he wanted more in-depth thoughts on what I feel about Steve Fox as a character, even though I responded to him, but I think it's well worth probably putting it into a video. And another person asked me about Lee Chaolan. And another guy who was asking me about Atif Butt, the Pakistani player. Apparently he can also use Brian Fury, and he wanted me to do like a technical breakdown. So some people have given me a couple of good video ideas, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So hopefully I may have earned a few of you guys subscriptions, perhaps. If this was your first time here checking me out, I appreciate you giving me some of your time. Check out some of the other videos. I'll link the two rants to this video. And I guess that's about it. So it's about 10:31 my time here in Brooklyn, and I'm approaching 50 minutes. So I think I'll cut out right here. Also, something I want to ask some of you guys. I understand that those two videos did very, very strong numbers with me ranting about Tekken. For me personally, I don't know how often I could just rant about this game. I don't want to just keep going to the well. I don't want people to get tired of it. So look, if people have something specific that they want me to talk about, I'll talk about it. That goes in line with the video ideas. I'm definitely open to suggestions, but just know I love just gaming in general. We have 10th generation consoles coming out from Sony and Microsoft. I can give two shits about Nintendo, honestly, as a company. You know, obviously we have a couple of new games coming out, you know, basically coming from like Resident Evil 9. They've announced that they're going to have a demo coming out. Battlefield 6 beta, it's coming out again, final time this coming weekend. I'm definitely going to be on there getting shot up and blown away, but I'll be having fun. So yeah, you know, I love just gaming in general. So hopefully all of the new subscribers that I have managed to accrue from the last two videos, I can just only hope maybe 10 or 20% of those people will rock with me on other content. Because if I was to talk about Tekken all the time, I would probably pull what little hair that happens to grow out of my 44-year-old head at this point, and I'd probably have a heart attack. Because the game is just the game of Tekken 8, it's for me, it's good in small doses. It's good in small doses. Anyway, with that being said, let me get up out of here. I'll probably upload this video and I'll probably add chapters in later. So anyway, take care. Peace.